Championship titles are elusive.
This is a difficult field.
It all comes down to this. Here we go.
When years of work come to seconds of action, give yourself every edge. Get rebound technology for faster muscle recovery with ProForce from Nutrina.
If you're looking for a smarter way to ship, look to Unishippers. We've been helping small to medium-sized businesses cut their shipping costs for more than 30 years. You'll get significant savings with UPS and more than 65 LTL freight carriers by leveraging the group buying power of our 90,000 plus customers. Unishippers is a one-stop shop for reliable shipping, significant savings, exceptional personal service, and easy online logistics management. Let Unishippers deliver for you. Call Mark and his team today.
Here at Rod Patrick, we take the fit process very, very seriously because we know the importance in your performance on how you're fit. So come in, let's give you the opportunity, tell me what you're experiencing, tell me what your challenges are, and I know together we're gonna find the right answer and you're gonna be happier than you've ever been with your boots. Come see me, and thank you.
I'm Natalia DiVincini, and this is Mooney from Pueblo, Colorado, and we love watching the Keeping It Real show.
Hi, I'm Megan Tierney from Hutto, Texas, and I like watching the Keeping It Real show.
Hi, my name is Angie Canizero. I'm from Purcell, Oklahoma. I was a previous guest on the Keeping It Real show, and I love watching the Keeping It Real show. Barbie Evans, Parker, Colorado. Keeping it real. It's the best show ever.
I'm Jason Martin.
And I'm Charlie Cole.
And we love watching the Keeping It Real show.
Welcome to the Keeping It Real show with your hosts, the man of trail, Tim Kamara, and the man behind the wheel at Keeping It Real, Brad Jewett.
Way to go, Coney Cam. Brad, 1, 2, go. Where's that Brad Jewett? He just got done doing Western riding. We saw him walk into the barn. I'm sure he'll show up in a minute here. So he lets me take the lead. Kelly McDowell just texted me. Kelly, I'm on the show right now if you're looking for me, okay? Wow. Let me just tell you, here we are at the Arizona Sun Circuit, and wow, it was windy a little bit today. So just if you didn't know, watch this. I'm schooling a couple horses out there, and all of a sudden the wind started gusting into the arena 5A. Holy hand grenade. It started coming down. I lost a couple horses, a couple people. They kind of like, not hard. They just kind of, oops, fell off. I had a few trying to rear up and prance and back up and knock everything over. And it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting that a lot of commotion. And I told mine, get off. And she was all calm. And then my horse is okay, and then pretty soon this baby starts prancing up and down too, and it was pretty wild. Good afternoon, Mr. Jewett.
Hello, everybody.
How was Western riding?
It was really good.
Okay, good.
My mare's starting to get it.
Yeah, love that.
Pretty proud.
So I did the taking the wheel for Keeping It Real. Okay,
You did, thank you.
yeah, I was driving to start. Okay, so I'm parking the car here.
All right.
Are Are you there?
Yeah, I'm going to get my. There we go, so I can read everybody's comments here.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, Shannon's got a good crowd here.
Yeah, she
Good job, Shannon.
Rock star,
Wow, I
right?
can't
Brought the
believe
rock
it.
star in. Okay.
It's making my hands a little sweaty though.
Have we even introduced Shannon yet?
Nope.
Oh, Tim's still got
Because I'm
control.
going.
Sneak peek, sneak peek.
I tried to practice the last name, but it's like Peru. I said Peru. Like Drew. Drew, right?
That's way better than most announcers get it.
Okay, you say it.
Vrew.
Vrew. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I say bro.
Shan-
Sorry.
Vrew.
Ah, it's close.
But I will never say it that way again.
Let's bring Shannon in. Come on in. Hi.
Where's my music?
Oh, where's
Where's
he's
my
late for his music. Like, okay, yeah. Hang on. We love this. Let's keep it real, so it's all good.
There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Miss Shannon Drew.
Got it.
Never going to say it wrong again.
Look at this. Love our trainer. You see that?
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Good job, Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy.
How about that Judy Jordan, man? You know, you gotta love that. She's like a regular typing in now. Judy, thanks for watching our show. I know they taught you how to do it, and that was so impressed every night you're showing up here. Gotta love that. Wow.
Hey, and I'm gonna encourage all of you. Go down to the bottom because I'm doing it right now. Go to the bottom right
Share
there
it.
where you can put comments. Click that share button. Click it on any equestrian group that you're a part
Brett showed
of.
up. Yeah, very good.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it'll go out immediately wherever you are posting it. So there's AQHA Professional Horseman because we have one here. So there we go. I have shared it with quite a few people. So here we go.
So, Shannon, kind of tell us how you're doing here. What kind of horses you brought here?
I brought a couple youth all-around horses. I brought mainly trail horses.
Yep.
It's kind of become my passion.
Yep,
So,
for sure.
and the trail's been real good to us so far. So that's been exciting.
Yeah, like the first round, you guys do really well, right?
Yeah, I had in the first round, I had my junior horse tied for reserve in the level 2, and my senior horse won a card at the level 2, and there was 89 in it.
Wow.
So I was super happy with that. The youth kids start tomorrow. Yep. Tomorrow, yep.
But the trail is like one more day from here, wherever day we're at. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Or Friday, Sunday. Friday,
Yeah.
Sunday is the youth.
Yep.
Look,
So-
we have our first Dreamweaver.
So
Shannon makes dreams come true.
Oh no.
Dream Merchant. Dream Merchant.
Dream Merchant. That's right. Not
Dream
Dreamweaver.
Merchant.
Dream Merchant.
Dream-
That's right.
So
That's the word.
So I was gonna say, isn't it interesting? Like, I mean, this is one of the early shows in the season, right? And to test how your horses are in 2021, right?
Yes.
And then, if you do very well that first round, it's very encouraging, right? That here we go.
Yeah, and it's not easy to get them showed here. I mean, they're looking at everything, and they're
Those
they're
big old-
lunging in the pins next to you, and they get a little wild.
Well, and like Bloomer's got their big wavy things as you're walking into the Western riding pen, right?
Yeah.
It's like where the start cone is, this flag's going.
Like having the wiggly guy out in front of the used car lot. Like he's standing out there dancing.
Exactly.
But getting your horses broke, right? If your horses are broke and stuff, I mean, that's the test of this, right? Of this show. I mean, pre-outdoorsy, and that's why we like to come to Arizona and stuff like that. I mean, 5A's good for us for trail, for us courses irons that we control you guys compared to 5A where it's 5, where it's kind of you guys are loose. But not an easy pin to show in. I mean, just today, I mean, the top of that roof started flapping a little bit, and lives were changing out there.
Yeah, real quick.
It's amazing. It sounds like thunder, you know?
Right,
or,
it was.
Or boom, because it was super quiet, and everybody kind of cleared out when the dust started coming in here in what is this, 3?
3, yeah.
And I was kind of in there by myself, and my mare was being pretty quiet, and all of a sudden it started, and I was like, what is that? And sure enough, she freshened right back up again, but all's good. But it is crazy what the wind does out here. It stirs it up. I don't know, they call it like a hullabaloo or something like that when these big old sand things. That's what it felt like we were in today for sure.
Trust me, I never heard such a loud noise like that out there in the arena, and I go, we're in trouble here, and I'm telling mine to get off. Get your butt off your horse, okay?
Get down.
Because it's not so much you, it's the other horses that are getting spooked, and your
Right.
horse is going to spook off the other horses.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but we got it under control. I think I want to dig, okay? So
Rock and roll, man.
Yeah, Shan, let's talk about your where you're born and talk about your family a little bit. And we'll start there a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it. You got it.
I grew up in Chardon, Iowa. A lot of people say, the corn state, but they're not wrong. I mean, it's a lot of cornfields.
Right.
I was a typical farm girl. We had cows, pigs, horses, the whole nine.
And,
so
4-H and stuff like that?
Yep. I have 2 brothers, Sean and Shane, and we had pigs and cows and showed a little bit of everything in 4-H, did the projects, showed horses in 4-H. So we were the typical farm family growing up.
How about talk about your state fair there? That's huge over there, right?
Oh, yeah. They have over 1 million people go through the gates.
Whoa.
It's wild.
Iowa State Fair, right?
Yeah, it's wild.
Wow.
And where's it held at?
At the Iowa State Fairgrounds, actually, where the 7-day run, a lot of people know what I'm talking about. It was a huge horse show for a long time up there. Same facility that they had up there. The state fair is held on those same grounds.
So how about let's talk about your mother for a second, because that's pretty big and important and stuff like that.
Yeah, my mom was a big influence on my life. She was a horse trainer in her till about almost her 30s. And then she quit to have a family, and us 3 kids came along, and she wasn't doing it. But she worked for a lot of really famous people. She had a really nice mare before they had world shows and stuff like that. It was a big deal to win, like the Chicago International, I think they called it. And she had pictures from those old horse shows, and the manes shaved off and the tails cut to the hocks and all of that stuff. And she worked for people like Dean Landers. She rode Sonny D. Bar, just old school and foundation. She was a great, great lady.
And then you were telling me that they made a scholarship for her?
Yeah, my mom passed away this year in December.
I'm sorry to hear about that.
It's hard. I'll keep this together.
Yeah. I know. I appreciate that.
She had a stroke when I was at the Tampa circuit last December, and I flew home from there. And you would talk about a fighter. Not a single doctor ever told us that she should make it. And she lived a full year.
Oh, wow.
So she fought real hard, went through the whole COVID thing. It's just like everybody talks about. It was miserable. I couldn't see her. I couldn't be with her.
Man.
Fought through all of that. I literally sat in a chair outside of her window, FaceTiming her, and with the stroke, that was even hard because she couldn't hold her phone and things like that. Right. So the nurses would help us. It was a real rough year. And when she passed away, one of the biggest things that I think was a huge testament was that I put out in lieu of flowers that I would like to see her big thing when she was, because we went back to training together later after I got out of college, and her big thing was the kids. She loved kids and said they're the future of the industry, and that's what I want to take care of. That's what I want to promote, and everybody at the barn called her Grandma Linda. So that was her deal, and so I said in lieu of flowers, let's do a scholarship fund. Well, it got to $8,000 before I knew what happened.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's
cool.
just a testament to how much the kids and families around Iowa loved her. And so now we're going to give away $1,000 a year to an Iowa youth that deserves it.
Wow.
Nice.
So we're excited about that.
That's good stuff, though. I mean, I can just appreciate just you talking about her the other day, too, with me and stuff. And just that type of lady that I'd say touch lives, right?
She really did.
Touch children, touch parents of children, giving them some hope, of kind of dream merchant too, kind of thing where you can do this. I mean, horses are a great creature to teach young people responsibility and everything, right?
Absolutely.
And I can appreciate your mom doing that. Wow. I had a place I was going to go in. Tell us about your dad.
So my dad was a typical farm guy. He went through the military. He really instilled work ethic in us. I mean, he would drag us out of bed on Sunday morning to go to church, and then we were on the farm picking up rocks behind the skid loader. I mean, it was that deal. He made us work, and it didn't matter if we went out on Saturday night. So
I'm Aggie person, and you were telling me about your ranch and a place where like you kids would hang out and stuff like that. You want to talk about some of the things that you used to do like that?
So I had 19 or 20 in my graduating class. So it was small town Iowa, and I loved every minute of it. We were wild. It's no joke. We were farm kids. So, my dad.
I can only imagine.
Oh, boy.
With 19 or 20 of you in your class, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the country trucks, back roads, tailgates, bonfires. We owned an old abandoned house that was kind of kept in the family that got passed through the family a little bit.
Nice.
That was the spot.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was It was literally that's how we
Yeah, it
grew up.
sounds
I
like
mean,
a
it
lot
was
of
the
fun.
country song.
Because I'm having this vision, and I could just see it. I mean, it sounds like probably there's a few movies out there that are probably
Well, that's what I
Very close.
Yeah.
Let's say
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
Footloose, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what it reminds me of for
Yeah.
sure. You know, and I mean, I can see the 4-wheel drives, Iowa tailgate, bonfire. You know, put the music on, open your car doors, right? And
Yeah.
it was a happening thing, right?
My little brother, I shouldn't tell this. He should be watching tonight, but he got pulled over one night in town, and I saw him getting pulled over, and I was like, this isn't going to be good. And I called my dad, and I said, hey, we better check up on Shane. And he no more than pulled over, and I'm not kidding you guys, 20 people got out of that truck. They were laying down in the bed of it, and I mean, it was out of control.
I love it.
Wow. Okay, I know where I'm at now.
Yeah.
No, great. I mean, those are stories. I mean, how does everyone have their roots, right? I mean, little Iowa girl here and in country, and look where she's at now, right? Quite the young lady now.
Yep.
So it's a journey again. Tell us about how you started riding, like with your mother when you were young.
So when my mom had actually quit to have a family, and I wanted a horse, and they wouldn't give me one. And eventually I found this old barrel of trophies out in our machine shed that was just all packed up. And I was like, what is this? I had no idea about her history or anything else. And I was like, oh no, sister, you had a horse, I get a horse.
Right, exactly.
So
She knew exactly what she was doing, hiding all those trophies, didn't she?
Yes, she did. So, and my parents went out and they bought me a Hackney pony, probably the worst thing ever. It had the weighted front shoes and everything.
Oh,
and
boy.
I mean, trying to sit that trot, and they didn't get me a saddle at first either. They really wanted to see how bad I was going to stick with this. So I couldn't stay on at the trot and
Welcome to
had no
Iowa.
saddle. And he lived in a pig shed. So it was real low.
Oh.
So when I was riding him, when he decided he was done with me riding him, he'd run in there because I couldn't stay
Yeah,
on because the entry
right.
was so low. So he was rotten, but I stayed with it. So they decided I probably wasn't going to give up at that point.
Another one of those stories, Tim.
Sounds like Rusty Green again, right? Like,
Well, yeah. You know, my
it's all- you
story
guys
of
are
my
good
horse
one.
that would run back to the barn, and I'd be like screaming, whoa, you
Whoa.
stupid
Yeah.
horse.
Everyone's good
And
that
this
way.
thing
It's
wouldn't
not so good
stop
when they
and-
come this way, right?
Yeah. He
Wow.
wouldn't come out either. I couldn't drag him out. So I'd have to, but he didn't like it in there. So I'd have to stand on top of the building. And the minute he'd come out because he hated it in there, I'd jump on him and off we go again. It was
like a bucket
ridiculous.
Love it.
I was adamant.
Love
Pretty
it.
clever young lady here, right?
Beth, I think Beth was the other one saying
Yeah, right.
that her horse would run off with her.
Right, like a certain point, then she had to walk back.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
It's a problem. But if you're that resilient, you're going to end up probably being a horse trainer.
Okay, listen. You'll like this, Bradford. So let's talk about your high school sports. Okay, high
boy.
school. Tell us about your sports in high school. I love the story. So
I ran track and played basketball in high school.
What'd you run?
I was fast. I was real fast.
You needed to talk to my wife. She
I-
loves track.
She's amazing. Your wife is absolutely amazing. I've followed a lot of her stuff. So, because one of my actually really good friends, I think I might have texted you about,
You did
is a
actually. yes.
bodybuilder.
You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
And she had a bunch of your wife's stuff on there
Yep.
on her page.
I remember
so I was
talking to
like,
you
this
about
is
it.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
but you're a hurdler, right?
Yeah, I was.
Nice.
I actually won the state championships in the 200 meter
Wow.
hurdles.
Congratulations.
So that was
That's
kind of a
something.
big deal for me.
Wow.
And then the B part of this story. Go ahead.
Well, no, because I went to Monica was invited to the Masters track, which is 40 and over. I don't know, 5, 6 years. This is how small. It's where each year they change. It was during the U.S. Olympic trials, which was really cool. So I mean, I got to see basically all the Olympians there too.
It's insane.
You know, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you got I can't. I got goosebumps right now because Allison Felix was there, and I'm a huge fan of Allison Felix. She's amazing. Anyway, no, I'm not trying to take this into a track conversation, but it's Iowa, and so guess where the athletes warm up and get their body work done and all that? Who is a big breeder in Iowa?
Help me.
Which I'm not exactly sure, to be honest.
Now their name is completely slipping.
You want us to give you the answer?
No, Naps. I'm sorry.
Oh, Billings at the Nap Stadium
Yes,
for Drake.
the
Yes. Okay, I didn't know where
And
you were going with
I'm
that.
sorry.
Yes.
I was on there and then I lost it. Now I'm back. Okay.
Yeah, I work for Billings,
because I got a
Susan.
text just saying that the people that are out here saying you got to wear masks are now driving around telling everybody you don't have to wear masks.
Oh, really?
My clients just texted me and said that.
Where did
so
that
I don't
come
know. Maybe
from?
the governor of
Arizona matched Texas.
just accepted the same thing that Texas just did. So I got a little distracted there. But
Yeah, that
so we're
distracted me.
walking into the Nap building.
Yeah, the
Because
Nap
they have
Center.
like an indoor track or something like that. Anyway, we're the Nap Center, and I'm like, I'm just laughing as I'm walking in here. I'm like, honey, do you know
It's a
who this
small
building
world.
and name it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I loved that weekend. It was so fun because I got to just be track wife, or track husband. Sorry.
Track
to my
husband.
wife.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's been a really long day. I'm sorry, but it was really cool. I honestly love it, and my wife loves track just about as much as anything.
Okay.
And it's beautiful when somebody's really good at it and really fast, and it's awesome.
Tim and I were talking about how the hurdles are a little bit like the trail. You got to count your strides, and you got to be
right.
switch,
Absolutely.
alternate. Like, yeah, it's probably where I started.
So I said, at a young age, you were thinking trail over the hurdles.
Yeah.
Okay. So the part B of the story now, Bradford, is what other sport did you play?
Basketball.
Should be
I'm a
pole.
straight up- I'm a straight up crazy college basketball
Point
fan.
guard,
I played wing.
wing.
Yeah.
All right,
I was
you're
a
the
wing.
2 or 3.
And
I
then-
was a 2.
Nice.
Yep. I could shoot from outside and was super
Nice.
fast. So, and actually, you want to hear this? My freshman year was the first year of 5-on-5. So I
Really?
played 3-on-3 all through junior high and
Okay. Well, yeah. I
elementary.
mean, I'm assuming your school wasn't so big, so
Right.
Okay, that would make sense.
yeah.
And then she
it was
follows
crazy.
it pretty good too.
I can believe that. Being from Iowa.
Oh,
I could
yeah.
see
You
that.
want to talk about some of the games real quick? this week?
About Iowa beating Ohio State the other night.
right.
I don't want to talk about that. But anyway, back to your notes here.
We were all prepped for that one game right there. We're going to talk to. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go back.
Go
Sorry
Bucks.
about that. We got sidetracked. I really want to talk about her high school sports though.
Any OHs out there?
So high school, you're riding with your mom and stuff like that.
Yep.
And so you have local shows, state shows. Are you in any of that?
So, I can throw it back to a really cool fact. My dad actually tore down a bunch of buildings in our hometown and built my horse barn for me since he decided I was going to be serious. So that was kind of cool. Him and my brothers did it together. So it was handmade, 4 stalls, and tore up his little pig lot so I'd have a riding arena. So it was
You would
pretty.
get
stories now, right?
decapitated
Yeah.
every time you went back into
Where
the barn.
Griggs had the
Yep.
chicken coop, and then you guys have the little livestock yard. Okay, yep. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
absolutely. And then I started doing 4-H. My brothers showed some 4-H too, but they were more about, we'd go to the fair and stuff like that. They were more about winning the money and going to the Midway than they were about, hanging out
Love
and doing
the
the horse
Midway.
show thing. Yeah. So we did 4-H. We did a thing called the Iowa Associated Saddle Club, which was a huge open show that traveled all around Iowa. And it's still there.
Wow.
And it's
Really?
still going strong.
Love
and
that.
They'll
Love to hear
have
that.
60 in the walk trot.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, it's awesome.
And
You
then-
know, if that is in Texas, I don't know about it. Yeah, because I just don't feel like we have that there.
Right, for sure.
But Ohio, Iowa, Indiana probably has it too. It's just that's awesome. That's why that's big horse country around there.
Yeah, it was nothing for me to go into a weekend and win $200 or $300.
Wow.
Which was a big deal to
Yeah,
me
of course.
at that time.
Of course.
I paid for my whole horse show, paid for the gas of the horse show. It was,
Yep.
and that's a little bit. I mean, why I liked showing there with them. And we were after the year-end awards. You know how it was when you showed in youth.
Yep.
How about talking about showing at the Youth World in Congress?
So I'm not going to exaggerate it. We didn't have a lot of money growing up.
Yep.
So I showed quarter horse, and I was real good on an Iowa level. And, I begged my parents all the way through youth to, let me try the Youth World, let me try the Congress. And my senior year, my dad gave in and said, we're going to go to the Youth World. And I had taken a halter horse like a different year, and it was just not a big ordeal. We literally went down the day before, came back, didn't cost a whole lot. But now I really wanted to go show. Right. I wanted to do the showmanship. I wanted to do all the events and stuff. So it was going to be hotel, more time consuming, all of that stuff. So my senior year was the first time I truly got to go to the Youth World. And I went into the showmanship as what I felt like one of the bigger contenders, because I kind of, what was actually really crazy was Shannon Kinney, Shannon, which is now Gillespie,
Okay.
and Shannon Dudley. So there were 4 Shannons showing in Iowa, and we were all really good. It was absolutely insanity. And we all went down, and I felt like, because I had seen a couple of the other Shannons go to the Youth World and do well. I was like, I think I can do this,
Right.
I got to the Youth World, and I overturned in the showmanship, and I just was devastated. I could not believe what I'd just done. And I bawled the whole way home, and I told my parents,
home, right?
yeah, I told my parents, I said, if you will just let me go to the Congress, I won't let you down. I promise you I won't let you down. So my dad kind of finagles things around, and my mom, and we go to the Congress, so this is even better. We're going to stay in the trailer. It snowed at the Congress that year, and it was not heated. So it was,
didn't have one of those air conditioner heaters on the top.
yeah, it was an ordeal, but there was 158 in the showmanship, and I was 3rd, and it was the highlight of my
That's awesome.
youth career.
I love it. It's going to probably prelude to our very last question of the night, but just what she said to her parents, if you will just let me go to the Congress, I won't let you down. How many kids these days would you hear utter that to their parents, Tim?
Right. Well, that's when she told me a story. I get. Well, tell us who was second or first that year.
So
She thinks. Right?
I didn't have time to go back to the video. I still have the video on a VHS tape.
Shoot,
That'll make you laugh.
We should have somebody
Right?
video the VHS tape and send
Yeah.
it in tonight.
Right.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, and I'm almost positive that it was Joetta Bell that was showing We Be Jettin' at the time, and she won it. I'm pretty sure. And then I'm struggling with whether it was Jessica or Caroline Gunn was second.
Either one.
I mean, it was
Right,
you
great
want, I
company,
didn't
great-
care. I was in
great
great
company.
company at that point, and I
Absolutely.
was just like, and they were my idols. You
Yep.
know, like they were the ones that I was like, oh my gosh,
bet.
like. So yeah,
that's so cool and stuff like that.
That's very cool.
So, so then after Congress, do you go to college after that?
Yep. I basically kind of set the horses on the back burner, and I had a scholarship for basketball to play at Coe College, and I went and
Full scholarship, it says right here.
well, I had grades too to go along with that. So
Nice.
it wasn't all for basketball, but I was a good student. So I was able to pull that off. It was not easy to go to a private school on our salary. So I was excited to get a go
That's
and
awesome.
not have us cost us hardly anything. And it was a good time. I went for athletic training and sports medicine. I can tape an ankle in under a minute, and
Nice.
it's pretty crazy. I've actually taped a couple ankles.
I'm
for
sure you've
kids at
used
the
a
horse
lot
show.
of that. Yeah, I was say, I bet you've used a lot of that. And some of it correlates to the horses, I know as well.
It does. We do a lot of warm up, cool down things that you would learn more from sports with our horses at home than more what I think I would have if I hadn't done all that.
Monica helps me out at the barn sometimes, just, when I'm gone for a long period of time, making sure horses, the girl that works for me, and she incorporates a lot of that same stuff and even in the nutrition part, all of that, she knows all of that as well. And so it's like, it really is. And who did we have on recently said there's not a whole lot of difference between, it was Nutrina, I think, between human and horse nutrition and taking care of them, making sure that they're healthy and staying sound and all that kind of stuff. But not to go chasing a rabbit.
It's super
there.
important, though, right?
Yeah,
I mean, any athletes
absolutely.
nowadays, everything has to be tight, right? The person and the horse both have to be correct, or else it's no good, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so in college, did you ever ride any horses during college, or?
I did. I actually missed it so much that I took a job. Hi, Clint.
Hi, Clint.
Good to
What's
hear
up,
from
Clint?
you. He's been repping my hat for 2 days now. So
Oh,
the Show
nice.
Horses by
He has,
Shannon
he
hat.
has.
So
Dude, Clint
gotta give him a
Ainsworth's repping
shout
your
out.
hat. That's
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Good job, Clint.
So, but yeah, I talked to Mike Miner. He lived there in Cedar Rapids. He's married to Bonnie. They live in Minnesota now and have a training business up there. And at the time, he had some really, really nice pleasure horses. And pleasure was a little bit of my passion being from Iowa because, as all you know, like That was Pleasure Horse Country
Oh,
for
yeah, for
the
sure.
longest time. So it was kind of my deal, and I loved it. And he let me ride quite a few of those, which, you know, a little bit of like what Rusty was talking about yesterday. Like, he taught me what it was supposed to be like.
Mm-hmm.
So those horses that he had at the time, like he had a couple that had gone to the World Show and done well. And I do remember a great mare that Heather Hoyt had with him that he let me ride. I don't know if she knew, but he let me ride a couple times, and it really taught me what it was supposed to be like. And once I got that feel, then I wanted it out of everything.
You know, it takes. I've had the fortune of purchasing really nice horses. I've never worked for anybody that's ever done anything we do. I've learned everything by watching and getting help from people, but never worked for anybody. But I bought some really nice horses that have had a really good foundation. And when I find that once you get to ride that feel, like, okay, I know not every horse is going to be exactly this way, but it is like, this is what I'm hunting for. You know, one may be a little longer strided or whatever, but this is what I'm hunting for. This is the feel that I'm hunting for in every horse that I have.
I think I was talking to someone today about finding that feel. You never, until you ride one of those or feel it, you don't know. I mean,
You don't realize.
and then one day the light goes on and you feel it. Like, oh, there it is.
Well, and I've done that with some employees that I've had, is put them on horses, and you'll know right away. They're like, oh man, this is what I'm looking for. Or
Their face, yes.
Or they're just out there like, oh yeah, this is good or whatever. But when they're like, oh man, this is okay, I want to learn how to do this.
How about the first time you do a spoke? Like if you start figuring out how to do the spoke, and the first time you get on one, or you get around that spoke and it's soft, and you get the turns and you get your 3 landings in every quadrant, like, wow, that's it. Until you feel it, it's hard
That's
to.
how it was supposed to be.
It's hard to figure that piece out a little bit. So, okay, so then after college, can we go there then, I guess?
Mallory just checked in.
Oh, yep. She's watching us.
Oh, yeah. So
she's saying Cece here is what she just commented, and that was the first horse she ever got to ride. Certainly a classic in the Pleasure. So, I mean, that's like cheating, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's the first horse she ever rode that she was like, oh.
Oh, she found it. That's how she found it.
Again, if you can put a kid on something like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it helps develop that field. Well, I know we'll get to Mallory later on.
Mallory who? Oh, that's the daughter.
Right, I don't, yeah.
Mallory who?
That's his sister. You know that?
Gosh.
Kona asks, is that your sister? I love that.
I love that too.
So where do we go after Mike? Like that, after Mike Miner, right?
Yep, I rode. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I rode with Mike, and when I got done riding with Mike and was done with college, my mom had a very small, successful business going around Des Moines, Iowa, and sorry, that really distracted me.
No, the Brent Walker, he goes, I got a donkey.
He's not kidding. I was so nervous to put him on a horse the first time I pulled out. I had a 13 and under donkey that was winning all over the nation that I helped this girl with. So the first thing I ever put him on was a donkey because I was scared to death. I didn't know how it was going to go, and I knew she was so quiet.
I got feel on a donkey.
I love it.
Great. I'm so glad people can comment.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's called keeping it real for a reason.
Oh, goodness,
Okay,
yeah.
talk about
No,
you with your
Jonathan,
mother.
nobody's struggling with the connection. It's just you.
Oh,
Eh?
one of my favorite
Hey.
people to go back and forth with on here.
Right, right. Okay, I'll let you keep having it. So after the college and you go back working with your mom has a business established and you start working with her?
Yep, and she had a small business of some youth kids and a couple of horses, and she was working around Des Moines, and, you know, I missed the horse thing, and I needed to put in the clinical hours to do the stuff I wanted to do with athletic training, and I kind of got started doing that, and I was with Mallory's dad at the time, and it was just easy, and I liked Des Moines, I liked the area, and I wasn't very long working with her until I figured out kind of what I wanted to do. You know, I was trying to figure out if I wanted to, you know, keep pursuing the sports medicine thing out there, and I wasn't there very long, and JR said, hey, how about I send you some horses too? And it just all downhill from there.
Wow.
What?
Nice.
I'm curious here, like, what was yours and mother's relationship when you came back to work for her? How'd that go?
My mom and I, I think it's like any family relationship. There were so many things that were great and there were so many things that were hard. She was always hard on me. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She was a horse lady grew up early in Louisiana. I mean, kind of hardcore Southern lady, and you respected your elders and you mind your P's and Q's. And, so if I ever was frustrated or got out of line, she was on top of me about it. And she was my biggest critic. If I was like, hey, look at this one, and I was excited, she's like, yeah, well, that outside front's not great.
Sounds like a mother, though.
So,
but
yeah.
I love those kind of people. They keep it honest. And because, when they come across, they're like, yeah, I like that one. Then it's pretty clear, because they're not blowing any smoke.
And she wasn't either. I'd have a showmanship horse sometimes that you ride all day and you get on the ground and you got to do showmanship and you get wore out with it after a little while. Sure. You got so much to do with one horse, practice some trail, practice some horsemanship, do a little bit of pleasure, whatever it is you need to do that day. And then you get down and you're like, I should really do some showmanship with it, And we've really developed, later on, Hannah and Spencer and I have gotten a really great program going for that, where it's not so exhausting doing so many classes with them every day when you're practicing. But, and she looked at me one day out at the barn and I was like, I just can't get this horse to do any of the showmanship stuff. And I was like, I've been doing it and it should know it by now. And she said, you haven't done showmanship with it in a week. I was like, ugh. So she was that lady.
But those are stories. Your mom has a lot of soul. Okay.
She did.
You can feel it, right? And sometimes mothers want the best for you, but have a hard time saying it, or
She's just very realistic.
But they figure if they're harder on you, you're gonna be better. Like when 21 right now,
no question.
We're molding you for the future. Okay, so I think she did for a couple reasons right there, right? And then is this the time when you have Mallory? Is this?
Yep, this is the time when I had Mallory. Not kidding. I was young, but I also knew if I was gonna do it, if I was going to get hardcore into my business and do all of that stuff, it was going to have to be early if I wanted kids and, if I wanted to pursue my passion later. And Mallory came along and it was the best thing ever, because literally between, my mom and I working together, she was never with a babysitter. She was always with us. And, I'm not going to lie, I'm probably lucky most days she's alive. It gets a little wild around the horse barn sometimes. And if you're not paying real close attention, there's going to be some scary things happen. She had a car wreck at 3 years old at the barn. She was in a Barbie Jeep that I'm not even kidding you, she drove it every day from the house to the barn. It was, the top down.
Yeah.
And it was like a horse pasture length from the house to the barn. And she'd drive that pink Barbie Jeep down there every day. And then when she was done with us and wanted to watch cartoons, she'd drive it back to the house. But she was with her cousin one day, and there's kind of a steep hill up by the barn, and they rolled the Barbie Jeep down the hill. So, things got a little Western out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
No roll bar on the Barbie Jeep. Jeep.
Okay. I'm a not good driver, so I'm visualizing that story. Like,
right.
At least she didn't go into the river, right?
Right. So, it didn't go any further than that. So there's always that.
I wonder if I had a wreck when I was little I don't know about. Okay.
More than likely.
Yeah. Okay. So
no,
kind of help me here.
Older,
so
just when
you
work
with your mom, lots of students.
Yep.
Are you coaching a lot too right now and stuff like that?
Yes, we've actually got a pretty darn good youth program going on, and I can give a shout out to some really cool people that went through our youth program. Maggie Granquist was one of my youth kids.
Yeah, wow.
Love that girl. She's back up in Des Moines now, and her and Maggie Paris and Hannah Lynn that works for me now were all youth kids of mine at the same time, and they were crazy and good at what they did and won more high points than it was so much fun.
That's pretty good, right? I think we all enjoy watching people grow up, and if you touched them when they were young and stuff like that, and to see it going on and like, wow, they became great riders, great trainers, and I'm pretty old, so it's like I remember all these walk trotters. Sir?
You're 60.
61 this year, right?
61?
Well, this year.
Well, you just turned
2021.
I know. You will turn 61.
Let me just sidebar. So, we were supposed to have this big 60 party, okay, Carrie Graham, if you're out there. and we missed it. We never did it.
Can we please do that?
We're going to have to do that.
Yes.
And so we said, now we have to have a 61 birthday party this year. Anyways.
Well,
Marie,
hey.
Say it's 60.
Huh?
We'll just say it's 60. We'll
Yeah,
get the signs.
something like
We'll
that.
just pretend.
Kyle, if you have a question for Shannon, just get on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, Kyle DeFries.
Okay.
What are you doing right now?
Hi, Kyle. So let's definitely let me get back on track here.
Sorry,
so
I just peeked at
you have
Shannon.
all these great kids showing around here. So do you change something? Do you what's your next step in life here?
So, no, the kids were a big part of what my mom and I did. And my piece of that, which I loved, was I did the young horses.
Yep.
I had a lot of 2-year-olds that I was starting and breaking, and I still, because of the area I was in, and just like what we talked about with JR sending me horses and stuff like that, the Western pleasure was a big part of my life. And so, I really actually enjoyed the pleasure more than anything at that point. But and I think that my pleasure background helped the all-around situation because, my horses loped through the horsemanship like a pleasure horse would lope. And at the time, we weren't doing all the fast stuff. They just wanted them to get through the pattern and be good movers and that kind of thing. So it was working out really good for me at that time. But she did more of the lesson giving, and I did more of the riding.
Well, just I'll bring in JR for a second. Like, that's quite the factory of horses that you can look at, right? I mean,
Yeah, it was like same deal, like going over the used car lot, and I could find about anything I needed over about an hour and a half from the house. So
I mean, all shapes and sizes, right?
yes, exactly.
So great.
Huntsy, whatever we needed at the time.
Wow.
So I'm sure you've seen some good ones and maybe some not so good ones, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's the only place you could walk into and say, the lady I'm bringing you, her husband doesn't know she's getting a horse, so I've got cash and a diamond ring. Are you okay with that? And we traded.
Wow.
But
That's a first for the Keeping It Real show right there.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's kind of funny. I don't know if a lot of people knew that. I mean, I'm a horse trader. Like, it's one of my favorite things to do. I like to buy and sell, and those guys all kind of got me started in that. Like the way they did stuff. I watched all that for so many years and did the paperwork for them and all of that stuff, and I figured out how they got stuff done, and not like in a bad way, like just like, this is how we get this done so that these kids or whoever I need a horse for at the time can afford to do it.
I completely missed out on all of that. I have not that horse trader gene in me whatsoever. And I'm not saying you didn't do anything by the book, but I'm like, okay, new client, buy a horse. It's your horse. It's hard for me to get people in that. Okay, you can lease this one. You can show this one here at this show, and I see people doing it all over, and I try, but it's just not. I don't know. Maybe it's just not bred within me, or my passion, or whatever. But I respect that because you guys bring a lot of new people into the business because of that kind of stuff.
That's the hardest part is I grew up and it was not easy for me, and everything that I rode, I didn't pay anything for, and I know how much I loved it. So when I have a kid come to my barn that has the passion for it, but the family doesn't have the means to make maybe the monthly they could handle, but it's the savings to be able to buy the horse, that's the kind of thing that I pulls at my heartstrings for that reason.
Well, and maybe if I had that, I would be the same way. I'd maybe just haven't had that.
So one more piece. I mean, since we bring up JR and another fantastic young man there that's had quite. I mean, he has quite the history too, right?
Yeah, I worked with him for it's got to been, I would say, probably 20 years.
Right.
How close is he to where you grew up?
He was only an hour and a half from me.
Okay.
So and I mean we have some wild stories in those 20 years, as you can only imagine.
Sure.
It was really funny. I was at the NSBA World one year, and this is one of my probably favorite stories. And JR calls me. He says, "Hey, I traded for this Jaxer Lucky 2 gelding." He said, "Can you go up and grab him?" And he said, "Ride him around, see what we got." I took him out. I lunged him for what felt like forever. And I brought him back in, and I tacked him up, and I went out, and he promptly bucked me off. And I called him, and I said, "Send it back." But That was just me at that time though, because the funny thing is I did get back on and I rode it around and I was like, this thing's amazing. Like it bucked me off, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so I rode it around a little bit and I called him back and I said, well, what's its story? Where'd it come from? Blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, go talk to Brett Parrish. And he said he had him at one time and just see what he has to say about him. And Brett Parrish looks at me and he goes, you have that one? And he was like, well, if you bring it out, and he's like, I'll help you with it and yada, yada. And I went and rode with him. And I mean, I was adamant. I rode with him every day for a week while we were out there. And the 3-year-old limited was the last day of the horse show. And it was split. There was like 40 in it at the NSBA World that year. And I ended up reserve on that thing. Wow. And it was like a big deal for me.
Sure,
like, you know, because I hadn't had one like that, and he helped me get it done. And that horse still bucked me off about 5 or 6 times after that. But we got it done.
Yeah.
And I chime in as we speak. Darlene Trine chimes in. Hey, welcome, Darlene. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we're doing good night. Okay, so you know what? Maybe we'll do rapid fire. You got music over there?
Oh boy,
Brad Jewett.
Oh yeah. If Kona's got the sound, I got the music.
I'll do it. I'll do it tonight.
I'm cranked all the way.
Any music for me? Sorry, I should have warned you a little bit.
oh boy. He didn't warn me at all.
Okay. Question number 1. Name a romantic movie you've enjoyed watching.
And actually enjoyed
I
it.
don't know. Yeah, I mean, you know, have one that you like?
I mean, who doesn't love Titanic?
Okay, there you go. Here it goes. Here's your big chance. Name a famous NBA basketball player you enjoy watch play.
I'm going to be honest. My absolute favorite has been like the entire Chicago Bulls team from back in the day. I know. He's having a heart attack over here.
What are you having a heart attack over there? That is true.
Michael Jordan
Lindsay,
and Rodman and
Ouch.
Our
killing it.
Kimes Ranch.
Michael
Kimes Ranch.
Michael Jordan.
Lindsay Perriton. Her son. No, hey, do not gloss over this. Her 7 or 8-year-old son.
Yeah.
He just started basketball this year. Michael Jordan. I told him last night at dinner. I said,
They drink Chambord lemonade.
Wow.
"What's that?"
It's raspberry liqueur with lemonade.
Say it again.
Chambord.
Chambord.
Yep.
A box.
Oh yeah, no, it's a bottle.
Okay. Question 4.
Chambord. I'll have to look.
What is your favorite breed of dog?
I have a healer right now, but I'm not gonna lie. I am a lab fan. I have had labs growing up. We hunted growing up.
Girl.
That was the deal.
Be true. Okay. Name a TV show or series you've watched on Netflix.
On Netflix, I mean, Netflix isn't my jam.
Okay,
I don't watch a lot of TV, but
You watch any TV series somewhere?
I do. I
Okay.
watch The Resident,
Okay.
and then my absolute favorite, though, is I'm a big serial killer fan.
No Yellowstone?
Nope, no Yellowstone.
Oh my gosh, you have not watched
Prodigal Son is my absolute
Listen,
favorite.
Yellowstone will
I'll
give
do-
you your serial killer fix
Right.
and your horse fix all in one.
All right, I'm in. I'll start
I'm
watching.
telling you, you will love it.
Name a type of flower besides roses you would enjoy receiving.
Lilies.
Oh, love that. Name a breakfast cereal that you like eating for breakfast.
Honey Bunches of Oats.
I have some in the trailer.
That's my favorite.
Okay, so
That's your name? What'd you say?
Honey
That's
Nut
my
Cheerio?
favorite.
Oh, it's your favorite. That's my name. I'm like, I've never heard anybody call you that.
So besides, you can't use the example you just gave us, but name your favorite horse that's bucked you off.
Oh boy.
Now you're no, it's
Actually, I have a Batman gelding at the barn right now, and Hannah Spencer and I absolutely adore him. He packs his select lady around,
Yeah.
but he has bucked all 3 of us off so hard that we couldn't walk straight afterwards. No lie. But he's our favorite.
Okay, good answer. Okay, describe your favorite pair of non-tennis shoes or non-boots. Or a pair of shoes you love that. That's not a tennis shoe or a boot.
That's not fair. That's all I wear.
Oh, that's curious.
Yeah.
track shoes,
Okay,
Yeah.
what's your favorite tennis shoe then?
Nikes.
basketball shoes. whatever.
Imagine Nike.
I know.
Man, I'm surprised.
You're right?
Say again.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, last one. What's your go-to drink at Starbucks?
It's a white chocolate mocha.
Perfect. Okay, those
Is that hot or cold?
Hot.
Oh,
There you
good.
Yeah, it's got to be. I live in Iowa. It's cold.
But when I go to Starbucks, and I don't go very often, but when I do, they're like, "Do you want that hot or cold?" I'm like, Why would you drink anything coffee related
Cold. Yeah. See, it's a generational
But look
thing,
at
I'm
him.
telling
he
you.
wears shorts in
So I got
weather
two.
like
I got
this.
two
so.
I got two sidebar questions.
Oh,
okay?
sweet. We like sidebar questions. Is this rapid
Yeah,
fire
kinda rapid
sidebar?
fire.
Okay,
Hey,
sweet.
Do you have like a belt buckle that's like most prestigious for you that you, I don't know if it's you had to work for it or you got when you're young, or do you have one that has like one of those?
So the Tom Powers was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys like Jeff Cochran and JR and all those guys that come back with those buckles from the Tom Powers with the triangles and
Triple
man,
challenge.
I wanted one bad. So
love that.
Yep.
And then secondly, like in your office, you have an office at home. Right?
Yep.
You have like a favorite picture inside your office?
My absolute favorite picture of of myself or just in general.
A horse. Yeah. And what's in your office that?
So
if
I
you
have
12 pictures. You got like one of them.
I don't have a specific office, but I have like a lot
Area?
of an area.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they all hang up on the wall, but I probably have two. I have a picture of my horse when I was growing up, the one I showed at the Youth World and
Yeah.
stuff in my prom dress.
Yeah.
So, but I love that horse.
Yeah.
Like loved
Yeah.
him. He died at our place. And then Mallory's got a couple that
Okay.
are pretty special to
Fair
me.
enough. Okay. There you go.
Nice
Little history,
job.
too.
Nice job. She aced.
I
We
made
go
it through it
commercial
without a
right
lot
here.
of stuttering.
Well, you haven't stuttered at all yet. I mean, we're not surprised.
blast.
Are we going to commercial?
Your choice.
We're doing 2 Sun Circuit videos.
Okay, perfect.
So don't miss these because this is live,
breath.
current, and right away we're going to allow Shannon to take a breath, take a drink, and it will be right back, everybody. I'm sorry, I was just watching the video for the first time, and it's like awesome because there's so many guests that we've had on the show, and the last one there that we saw was Beth, and we had 2 nights of Beth Case, and they were classic nights for sure. And she's like, oh, like I just wish I knew what she was saying right there, right? Oh, I love it. She was obviously trying to get her point across.
Beth
Welcome
After
back
Dark.
to the Keeping It Real show. We are with Shannon Veru, not Rowe. Vrew.
Brew.
For all you announcers out there that announce it, it's Vrew. But Shannon, you've been great so far, and I know the second part is not going to disappoint whatsoever. So, Tim, let's keep rocking and rolling, man.
So let's go over some of the horses that you started with and how they became some of your broodmare string. And
So I had a really nice mare early on after my mom and I parted ways. Hannah Lind and I started training together. Hannah was one of my youth kids, and we actually hit the 20-year mark this year. So that's really crazy.
That was my question that just came up as you were talking. I was like, how long has she been with you? 20 years.
Yeah.
And I love to listen to her coach sometimes,
Oh.
especially when the things that she says when the clients can't hear her. I'm like, just like I love it.
I literally can't live without her. You have no idea
I
how
could
much
imagine.
entertainment happens at the barn. We added Spencer this year, Spencer Orr, and it is literally, it's the best thing I ever did.
Awesome.
It is entertainment for days out there.
Can we sidebar for just a sec? Can you tell us how you broke Spencer in at first?
Oh, God. So the poor guy, he came to us right before the NSBA World, and we had 16 head slated to go with us down there, and it was just the three of us. And he'd been with us for a couple weeks prior to that. And I said, hey, this is going to be tragic. Like, we are going to work really hard and around the clock and be in every pin and all this stuff. And the very first thing that I did to poor Spencer, I was running pin to pin, and a girl brought her horse up with a brown and gold pad on, and I was wearing black from the pleasure pin. But I had a gold shirt on, so I was like, hey, I'm going to slip the vest off. I said, Spencer, jump on the bike, run down and grab the brown chaps for the trail. And I said, we'll get rolling. And Spencer comes back with another pair of black chaps. And I looked at him and I said, do these look brown to you? And he goes, yes. And I looked at him and he goes, I'm colorblind.
I was just
like, oh, man. So
Dude.
and
but that whole scenario, I just have to say, has never happened to Jewett Performance Horses. Because I'm like, oh, I have a red shirt on. I can't show in a gold hat. I'm like, all right, give me the horse. I'm going. So spoken. I wish I had somebody there more for me for that. We're kind of at a point like, what color shirt are you wearing? That's what I get asked. But it's just like, that's amazing. But that is a funny story about
my gosh.
I'm colorblind.
Yeah, I was like, oh no. And that's how I broke him in. And to be honest, we've laughed about it since, but I mean, it was just like, and I was like upset.
Do you
I was in a
number
hurry.
everything now? Do you number everything now?
Write my name on the inside.
There you go.
My name are in my chaps. And then the poor thing, I have a picture of him sleeping under the pad rack in the stall I was like, well, why don't you just go lay down for a couple hours?
Wow.
But we broke him in,
Diehards.
and when he handled it in the Congress that year, I was like, sold. What I got to pay you?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, so let's jump back to your horses again then. So tell me how these horses evolved a little bit.
So the pleasure was really, I loved it, is what I really wanted to do. And, it's these guys, I mean, they're great at what they do. And everybody knows it. It is not easy for a woman to break in with these guys in the Western pleasure industry. And they're all my idols, like Gil and Rusty and Brett. And I mean, and Jay, you can just name them all, and if I really wanted to do that, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to try. Yep. And I had a little mare that was probably the biggest one that, I kind of broke through on a little bit. And of course I was limited, so it made it a little easier. But I had a mare called, her name was Presidential Affair. And she probably won every limited class there was to win her 2, 3, and 4-year-old year. And she took me out of limited, of course. And Rhonda Rosenboom owned her, and she was a huge supporter and sent me wherever I needed to go. And she was the first horse I was reserve at 100 and some in the limited 2s at the Congress on her. Oh. And it was just like my heart horse because I just couldn't believe that had just happened for me. And then, of course, all year, this is, kind of the best part, I followed The Rock around all year. Oh. And I don't know how, Scott Fry? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how he was limited at the Congress. And I really wanted to argue that with him. But I was like, it's fine. I'll be behind you.
I just don't think he shows a whole lot.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, I think it helped. Yeah. So, but we're really good friends actually since all of that.
He does a great job.
He does a great job. And anyway, so I followed him around like probably that whole time, being second behind him a lot of times. And so I decided I just had to breed that mare to him. But long story short, later on in life, my fiance now, Brent Walker, actually purchased her for me as a broodmare later on.
Awesome.
So I got some babies coming from her, and they're real nice.
Nice.
So that was really fun. But I busted into the pleasure horse deal, really wanted to do that. Kind of passed my torch to Hannah and Spencer with the limited stuff and kept doing the pleasure horses, but letting them show them, and we've had a lot of success. We're big fans of the PQS stuff. We were big fans of Go Show for Dough. Did a lot of that stuff, won a lot of money through the limited deals, and had some really nice pleasure horses, and I enjoyed doing that. And I kind of took that passion from the pleasure and finally figured out how to put it in the trail with the young horses. And then that's where I feel like I found my niche. Was, the first year they had the 3-year-old trail at the NSBA World, I won the BCF 3-year-old trail. And it was a big highlight for me. And after that happened, I was like, this is my jam.
That's huge. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. And then, so how about, there was so the presidential fair, you have a couple younger horses out?
We do. We actually, I'm going to give a shout out to my fiance, Brent Walker. Once I decided he bought me the broodmare, and, we had some embryos to Crimson Bell that we were allowed to get. And then we have No Doubt My Maria. So, I've got some mares.
That one's out of that mare? No Doubt My Maria?
So, No Doubt My Maria's, we actually took her on trade when we sold Crimson Bell.
Oh, okay.
But I kept some embryos off of her. Okay. So we had those 3 great mares to pull embryos off of. So, he took that to heart. I mean, he started studying and wanted to know who should be bred to what. And he does I'm trying to think of what the name of that report is, but he lives by it. Like, this cross has won this much money, has done this. And I mean, he's all about it. And his first set of 2-year-olds came out, we had 5. And his first set of 2-year-olds came out last year as 2-year-olds, and he went 5 for 5. All of them won over $5,000.
Look at that.
So I was impressed. It's his deal, and he likes it, and he's still going with it. So
that's awesome.
So you're right there. So why don't you tell us how you met Brent?
Oh boy,
that's probably when she said I do.
This
is
working out.
You're 5 for 5. Yes,
actually, yeah, that's funny. When she said I'll do, this has been a 6-year relationship with Brent now. We're engaged, but it's been the longest engagement ever because I have cold feet. He'll tell you about it all the time. I was like, we had a wedding scheduled for last year. I was like, COVID. We can't invite anybody. We should not, And I was married for a long time to Mallory's dad, and with the horse deal and being gone and all this stuff, that we're just so busy, and I became so independent and just doing my own thing that I just didn't think I ever wanted to do that again, because it's such a head-butting thing with someone that doesn't understand it, and that was not Mallory's dad's fault. It's just, it was a lot of my fault. Like, I wanted to do this. I wanted to be great at it. And, they almost became like he didn't like him at all after that, just kind of one of those things, because it took up so much of our time, but on the other side of it, it was my passion. And I figured out with Brent that he supports it, and we do it together, and it's a very cool thing. So it kind of made me realize like what it really should be like.
Well, and he's kind of found his niche in it.
You guys are getting married in July, right?
Yes, we are. We have a date. So yes, we are getting married July 24th.
Her foot's twitching over here. She's saying
it really is going crazy. I feel bad.
But my sidebar question is a donkey the test? Like, is donkey a test of your
When I knew he'd come out and ride a donkey and he didn't argue with me, I will tell you what the test was, though, is he about left. Because when I gave him his first real riding lesson, I looked at Hannah and I said, you got to do this. I'm going to lose my mind. He's very analytical. And I'm not kidding you. He'd go 3 feet and ask me why he had to use his inside leg. And then he'd go another 3 feet and he'd ask me why he had to pick up his hand.
I know your pain.
I couldn't take it. I go, Hannah, he's all yours. And she looked at me after the second lesson and she said, I can't do it.
Where's Spencer?
So Spencer will be next, yeah. But no, he really does love it. Yeah. He enjoys it. He cooks for us on business meeting nights.
Nice.
He's amazing. So I hit the jackpot when I met him. And when we met, the reason we met was we met online, which is not something I would have ever done. But his reply to me was, I work all the time, so this won't work if you have a problem with that.
You're like, sold,
right?
Sold.
Done. And yeah, I said dinner. And we've been together ever since, and it's amazing.
Like men that cook, like those ladies really appreciate that. That's for me at home, right? I mean,
I'm a cook at home too, but, for the most part.
You guys work so hard, and then who has time to go grocery shopping and cook, right?
Yes. I don't grocery shop, but I cook.
He'll text me, what's your arrival time tonight? What time are lessons over?
Right.
And And about 30 minutes before he knows I'm going to get home, he's
Nice.
started supper. I mean, it's the deal.
So that's a treat to have that luxury. Tina Bulmer. Yeah.
You should appreciate it.
I think it's time. Let's do Mallory. Mallory, it's your turn. Let's go here.
Oh boy.
Yeah. We have a lot of research here. So talk about early days of Mallory, and then let's go through a little Mallory history here.
So she has been a Spitfire from the very beginning. We talked about the car wreck, but so has been really funny. Some of my oldest customers at the barn literally are grandma and grandpa to Mallory, and Karen Heffernan and Rhonda Rosenboom probably were with me the longest. Yep. And, Rhonda always outfitted her with her show clothes. And Karen and John, her late husband, John, they were doctors.
Did you see Mallory's comment, by the way?
Oh, no,
yeah.
We have a little space for you here on my outline.
So they were both doctors, and I'm not going to, try to hide it. They saw Mallory a lot. So Mallory, when she was 3, fell in a water tank because she wouldn't listen. And, she was always throwing rocks in this water tank. And for whatever reason, I just knew. When I couldn't find her, I went flying out to that water tank, and all I saw was her boots above the water. And I jerked her out of there, and I held her on my lap all the way to John's office. And we pulled in there, and I'm sitting on the thing with her at the doctor's office, and she's perfectly fine. And he walks in, and he looks at her, and he was eating a sandwich when he walked in, and she goes, "Grandpa John, can I have a bite?" And I mean, he just died laughing. He's like, "I think she's all right." But she's put me through that stuff, her whole life, just ornery.
It's funny. It was a conversation I had at dinner last night because kids, I mean, you can't turn your head for a second.
No.
When they're that age.
No,
Same
they're
thing.
wild.
Like my client was saying that her daughter, when she takes her to the barn, like in one of those muck buckets, was full of water, and found her kid same way, boots up, and she's like pulling her out, like
So,
thank God it's not just mine.
No, it's not just you.
How old is she when she starts to ride? Does she a pony girl or does she have a horse girl?
She's a pony girl. Yeah. She's a pony girl. The pony sent her to the hospital too. I mean, that's just, it is what it stepped on I had a helmet on her. It was a Barbie helmet, when she would mess with that pony, but she would drag it all around, but she wouldn't take her spurs off. Would not, no matter what I did, she had the little kid spurs.
Because you probably had yours on.
Yeah, exactly.
So she had to have hers on.
Yeah, she tripped over her own spurs, and the pony stepped on her and knocked her out.
Wow.
And that was another trip to the hospital. So, I mean, she's in basketball. She's been knocked out, have tore both her ACLs playing basketball.
goodness.
Had both of those, taken care of and replaced, but she's resilient now.
Yeah. Did you two ever play like one-on-one or shooting contest? Or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll beat her once in a while in a little pig or horse. She's. I don't try to keep up with her, but, she's a little younger, but I will,
Yeah,
I will
pig or
shoot
horse,
around
that's
with her.
how you play with the younger. It's not one-on-one, it's pig or horse.
So how does she start her show career?
So she started out, I bought her a horse that had probably 2,000 or 3,000 points from Debbie Sharp in Nebraska, Mr. Jaywalker. And actually her and my little brother showed that horse for quite a while. She had that one. She had a giant, a 17 two-hand hunt seat horse that would do anything she wanted it to do. It was insane to me.
Horse.
It was like nothing I'd ever seen. He would do anything she wanted to do. It didn't matter. She, talk about falling down. She tripped in the showmanship one time with Jaywalker. And I'm not kidding you. My mom had it on video. He stopped after she tripped and held his foot up so he didn't step on her and just stood there like, what am I supposed to do?
Get out of the way, Mallory.
Yeah, exactly. So she had some really great ones growing up.
Small fry. She shows small fry, 11 and under. What?
I do. I beat her in
I love it.
pig and horse all the time. She's commenting.
Confessing?
Yeah,
no,
she
I thought
is.
maybe you got the belt out and whipped her. I'm not talking about
you don't. Yeah.
Sounds like Iowa. But
Yeah.
We don't want to get muted here on Facebook. So.
She had a time or two when I had to, reel her in when she got in trouble at homecoming for egging a house and, a few things like that. That she probably deserved it.
Really? Wow. Surprising.
Mom probably never did anything like that.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. So she was kind of a little bit of a wild child too, but she was real responsible. And, it's hard to take anything away from a kid like that. I'm not kidding. Like she get in trouble but at the same time she'd be out cleaning stalls and working horses. And how do you even get mad at her, know? So, and she took her studies. Yep, she loves all the events. Took her studies seriously. She was a 4.0 in high school. While playing basketball and showing horses, she impressed me.
And she showed quarter horse and paints.
Yes. Yep. We started out, we had one of her first really good show horses was a double registered that I bought from Mary Ann Carr. The MGP Gorgeous George horse was her Congress walk trot horse. She was reserve at the Congress on him in the small fry horsemanship when it was the only class they had. They didn't have the small fry all around out there then. And then Blazing Barefoot's actually a really funny story.
Okay.
So if I'd have had that horse now, it would have been an amazing trail horse, but I didn't know enough about it at the time to really make it one. But it would have been so we're out at the Congress, and I have that thing out there, and I had talked JR into let me take it out there, and I was like, I'll sell it for you while we're out there. And he was real skeptical, didn't want to buy the stall. You know how that is.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm telling you, we're going to sell it while we're out there. And I was showing it a little bit in like the green Western Pleasure and doing well with it, but it wasn't a real tight jogger, but it loped all day. And we get down to the end of the Congress, and I looked at Mallory and I said, hey, you ever been in a hunt seat saddle? Like, this is weird that I don't know this, but I feel like you have. And she was like, well, Mom, no. She was 11, maybe 10, I think. And she's like, no, I haven't. And I was like, well, let's try this. And I put her in a hunt seat saddle on that mare, and she flopped all around up there trying to figure out how to get her diagonals and do all that stuff. And I said, you want to show her in the 11 and under hunt seat? And she looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, we got this. I just spaced people all around the pen to make sure she had her diagonal. And she was reserve on that mare in the 11 and under hunt seat. And so being the 10-year-old little kid that she is, says to me, we're taking that one home, Mom. I'm going to keep that one. I want to show it. Wow. And I was like, Mallory, I brought it out here because I was supposed to sell it. And she said, nope, we're taking it home. I want to show it. And this is terrible. So I couldn't even get out of the pen. I had a guy chasing me, wanting to buy it.
Oh.
And so, and JR's like, oh, no, it's selling. And so we get the deal done, and I had to get Mallory back to school. So my mom was out there and gets her in the car, and I needed to get it to the pre-check because they were heading out. So my mom gets her in the car. Well, I don't know what happened. Mallory forgot her jacket or something. I'm walking this thing to the vet trailer, and here they come pulling back around.
Boy.
And her little face in the window, I was like,
what?
I can't do this. And we get home, and she goes, where's Barefoot? And I was like, Canada?
Wow.
Gotta do my job.
But the poor thing, story of her life, that's kind of how it goes for
Horse
her.
trainer's kid.
Yep,
Absolutely.
exactly. Yep.
Absolutely.
So definitely she wins showmanship, Congress, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, we got to a point with I'm not going to lie, like she said right on there, I'm still salty.
Oh, yeah.
So Mallory and I are both, growing up with the basketball and the track and all the stuff that her and I did competitively besides the horses. I think it's a little bit of why we got into the horses, because we like competing so much that this was a way for us to still do it. But when you're that competitive, her and I could butt some heads, like when it came to coaching and things like that. We're a great mother-daughter team, but I wanted to be able to have, that relationship with her where I could go watch her and cheer for her and have that relationship versus it being my fault if it did this or her fault if it did that, And she's a tough-minded little thing. So one of my favorite things that happened was right after that small fry stuff, about 15 years old, I sent her out to Jason Gilliam. And he was perfect for her.
Yeah.
Like, he was on top of it, and he taught her to be tough, and he taught both of us, between Mallory and I both, we learned a ton from him in the trail. And that's actually, my trail career started evolving a lot after I watched Jason work with her.
Absolutely.
Perfect. And then her college.
Yep. Oh, that's a highlight for me, even as her mom. She's at SMU, which is, I could have never put her at SMU in a million years. The tuition down there is $270,000 for 4 years. That's just an insane idea to me. And I'm a huge supporter of the NCEA. I have girls riding at Baylor, South Dakota, SMU, all kinds of places. A huge supporter. Mallory's very lucky. Her grades were good, and she's on a full ride at SMU right now. So that's a big deal for us.
Wow. And then, so Mallory still shows, though, right?
Yes.
You want to talk about her showing now while she's going to school? Or
it's not easy. The equestrian requires a lot. They work out, they ride quite a bit. They have their, COVID slowed a lot of things down for everybody. The equestrian teams, horse shows, all of it. Yep. So, but she's still showing her, she has No Doubt My Maria still. Yep. Last year we had a heartbreak. The mare was here at the fall championships, and we don't know if she hit a trail pull. We don't know if what she did, but she twisted her ankle and got a bone bruise in her ankle. Yeah. And they were like, that's not going to be something that's going to heal fast.
Right.
So she's actually been at ESM since fall championships here last year, rehabbing, and we got x-rays back last week, and we are 100%. So
awesome.
Great. Super excited about that, and she'll be headed back to Blake so Mallory can start up again. And
I had that same thing happen in Tampa 1 year. And it was in the trail. It's a freak deal. Couldn't do anything to change it or save it or whatever. It just happens every once in a while. But, I just want to speak on behalf of Mallory because I don't know her personally whatsoever. Like her or not like her, but the kid can ride, and she has an incredible feel. You've put her, you've started her incredibly, but you've also put her with people that have really helped her develop in ways outside of just giving what as us as trainers when you go to work for somebody, right? Just giving an opportunity to your daughter that is life altering, obviously with SMU, right? And so it just, I've used her as an example a lot to a lot of my students that, she's got a intuition, as far as when to school, because every class that we do in this horse show arena, you have to school at some point. And if you don't do it effectively, you're wasting money. If you're doing it effectively, it's going to pay off for you eventually in the end. And I'm super impressed with her because, like I said, I don't know her personally, and we've never really had a conversation. But I know she's watching, and so it's my opportunity to be able to say it that just her amount of talent and feel, and I can see the competitive. I didn't know about the basketball or whatever other things that she's done, but I can see that she loves it, and that's a testament to what you've done raising her in it, because there's a lot of kids that I don't want to have anything to do with it, that have parents that are in the industry because for whatever reason the parents go home and they talk trash about what they have to do and all that, and you've obviously been very positive about it. So kudos to you for one, but to her as well for just sticking with it. And she hasn't always had the best horse maybe, but she's made the most out of every single opportunity. And that's why, trainers' kids sometimes get the bad rap because, they get a gift or whatever. I'm like, no, did you not see how well they rode that? And so some of the classes that they're in isn't about the best mover or this or that. It's about performing through that pattern. So good job, Mallory. I'm a huge fan. Not just because your mother's sitting here next to me, but all my clients will attest to what I just said, because you are a gifted and talented athlete in the horses, and I'm sure you were in basketball as well.
I loved following her in basketball, and you don't know how much it does for my heart to think about that, because Hannah and I were sitting discussing it the other day, and Hannah and I are, I talk about her and I together as a team because we've been together for so long, but we're so humbled by when somebody knows who we are or comes and asks for our advice, because we didn't come from anything. Right. And for so long, no one knew anything about us or who we were. And we were the ones asking for that advice, and it's very humbling now. One of the things that I absolutely love about this whole deal is somebody mentioned Team USA on there, and she got to compete on Team USA, and she talks to me all the time about, kids across the country that message her about showmanship or ask her questions or, different things like that. And what I love about it is, and what I'm bragging about is not her, it's the industry. It's the fact that has opened that door for my kid to be able to meet people all over the world and get to be friends with them and talk to them. And there was a kid on Team USA from South Africa that was actually just messaging her the other night about horses and like how she was doing and stuff. And that's this industry. It's opened those doors for not only her, but so many kids.
Yeah.
you know, and it's good to see these kids evolve into what they become even later in life because they had the responsibility of a horse and how hard they work.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes the hard work isn't anything more than just the time spent, because some kids you'll see out there and, you know, they'll rip and tear, or they'll do this, and they'll be getting into their horse all the time. Sometimes it's just consistent mind numbing
yes
work.
It is.
And I see Mallory do that, you know, when she, especially when she got off of Crimson Bell and went to her new horse, and I saw her putting that time in on that horse. That you have to do those things with, especially with young new horses, right? You can't just step off of one that you spend all this time on and it's broken. You can make mistakes and they'll cover it up. How do you get to that point? You have to get to that point by taking those steps again.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be like, oh, well, I didn't win. You know, that horse doesn't understand that part, right? You have to take your time and do it right all over again. And again, whether it was you or whoever else you put her with that has taught her those things, you can see that in her.
She's never, and I'll say this about her, she's never had an easy horse. Yeah. Like, she's never had one that was just, you know, I can give a cute story about Crimson Bell. So when I got Crimson Bell, Larry Honch called me up in Iowa, and he said, I'm moving to Texas, Nancy Sue. And he said, I got this 3-year-old mare that I really think would just fit your program. I need $6,500 for. And I said, okay, I'll find it. So that being said, you know, he trusted me to bring that mare around. But at the same time, you know, when we kind of got started with her, she was not the easiest. Like, right. she had the, I'm not going to say it that way.
Careful.
She had the lead button in there, let's just say.
Yep.
And, you know, Jason and Blake went through that with that mare, you know, and Mallory would come in crying and, you know, like, we got to fix this. And I can't, you know, in July of the year she was supposed to sign for the NCEA, that mare, for whatever reason, decided every time she turned around, she was going to leap, like in a pivot. Didn't make any sense. And that was at the Big A, and a bunch of the horsemanship coaches, you know, were there watching. Right. And she just pulled her down and went on through it and got through the pattern. But, you know, she cried after that was over and was like, I'm never going to get recruited.
That's probably a bigger thing right there, because in the NCAA, that's kind of what you ride.
And I loved it because South Carolina came up to her afterwards and said, hey, like, that's what we want to see.
Yeah,
like, so it you know, it
Ruth
saved
is awesome.
it. But
I know Ruth's not there anymore, but
that's
Ruth
what it was.
is awesome.
Ruth is awesome.
Yep.
She knew right then and there. She was like, you're going to be fine. You know, and Mallory hadn't won anything at that point, you know, so to have a coach notice somebody like that when she hadn't really won anything yet was a big deal, you know?
Absolutely.
So
I'm just going to say, you know, like, wherever we're at in this program, if you don't think they know you now. Okay,
yeah.
Keep it real, right?
Really figure you out after
I
this.
mean, you see people saying they don't know your backstory, and that's what the show's about. And Mallory too. You know, we see Mallory, but to know the backstory of Mallory a little bit, and you also for sure. I mean, that's what we try to do here.
Which we figured, but she went from, don't take this the wrong way, but from zero to hero, really, in my opinion, pretty quick, you know, because I watched her show the paints. And not that I was focused on her at all, but I had some paint world champions and stuff. I'd see them at the world shows and all that. And then when she moved into the quarter horse a little bit more, you see her kind of grow, and then all of a sudden, like, she really took a big leap forward, I felt like, you know, and I couldn't tell you what the horse was or whatever, but you could just see the tenacity and the desire. And then, again, I don't know exactly what point it was, but there was a point I looked up and I'm like, this kid's okay. Now she's going to be a force to be reckoned with,
right?
You know,
she had a double registered mare, Some Sweet Machine, and the funniest thing is about the horses that she's had to show, and, you know, Jason and Blake can testify to this. I've never handed them anything easy, any of them.
right?
But I've said, hey, they're talented, but you're going to have to fix it. It's going to be in there. And the paint mare that she had, the first one, she was reserved at in the 12 to 14 showmanship at the Congress, and probably kind of when she started to come out and do something, that mare would run circles around her all the way down the tunnel. And then when it got down at the end of the tunnel, it would show every time. And Jason would just look at me and shake his head. Like, you got to be kidding me. And like Belle would stand at the showmanship cone with her ears straight forward. And Jason and Blake both were just like, good God, she's not tired enough. And I was like, oh God, like I think she is, and she would show every time, but none of them, they've all required a lot of work. So she hasn't known it any different than that. Cause that good machine mare, I mean, she spent 3-4 hours on a lunge line most days.
Well, I know Jason taught her a lot, but I can attest to Blake because I sold Blake his youth horse, and it would leap with me all the time, and he got that thing back to the finals of the horsemanship. And at that point, I was like, this kid's got something special there. So I know Blake, he's not going to back off of something like that.
He didn't at all.
And obviously, it was a very good match.
Yeah, there's no question that, between those two and the trail, they made her love the trail, the horsemanship. Yep. I mean, Jason was a lot of the showmanship attestment goes to Jason. Like, he was hard on her about it and being correct. And, both of them have given her great advice throughout that time. And then, on top of it, like, the horse, like I said, working the way I grew up, I could even come into play a little bit here and there because I could tell him, like, listen, like, this is why this horse isn't doing this. And, I feel bad. It's a $6,500 horse. Right. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have to fix this, at the time. Yep. And I said, we're going to have to do a little vet work. We're going to have to do this or that, but we'll get it. Yep. And, it was a big team effort.
Yep.
So I'm down to 2 questions and then we'll be done here.
Okay.
The first one is, do you see any similarities between your mother and you and Mallory?
It's a good question.
Oh, we're very hard-headed. No question about it. Anybody will tell you, my fiance, my daughter, my mom, my dad, they'll all tell you. I mean, if we're going to do something, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like all 3 of us. And, I give that to my mom. She taught us that. She was like, you just have to be resilient, or if you want it and you're going to make it happen, then you're going to make it happen. Perfect. And nobody else is going to do it for you.
Perfect. And then, I always ask about the younger trainers, younger generation. Being a woman in the industry, what advice you'd give for younger ladies that want to be horse trainers, and let's just go with that one, and then I'll add on to it.
So my advice, and we go back to Hannah being with me, but when Hannah was with me, I refused to let her quit school. I told her that if she was going to work for me, it was fine, but she was going to get a degree. And because if something happened to her, I didn't want her to have anywhere to go, And so she worked her butt off for me through college, and she got her 4-year degree. And then after she was out of college, I was resilient that she used my guy, and I didn't care if it was $50 a month. She was going to put in an investment account, and she was going to have a retirement fund that was going. And
awesome.
I've been this will make all of our customers laugh. I've been on her for a couple of years to buy a house, and Hannah's a homeowner. She just bought her first house.
Awesome. Congratulations,
so I'm pretty excited
Hannah. That's
for
huge.
her. Oh, she's lit about it.
Huge.
So, and I kind of have started on the same track with Spencer. I told Hannah, I was like, hey, you got to talk to Spencer. We got to get him in touch with Brett. We got to start saving money. It's so important because you don't know when you might not be able to do this anymore. Or
Hey, I've owned homes for a long time, but the home that my wife and I have now, it's way more home than I ever thought I could have. But it's not because I could necessarily afford it if I didn't save, because I was able to put a lot down, and so I saved for a long period of time, and I bought smart homes and bought cheap, sold for more, and bought cheap, sold for more, bought cheap, sold for more. It was able to put money, but you got to save.
Yes,
you have to save.
Savings,
you
the
have
key.
to save.
No question.
Which is probably leading to your last, the big question. That I know you're already into that question, but that's a big part of that question.
Well, education, saving money. How about the balance part of this too? I want to you're going to get married shortly here, and that has to put you in a good place for life and stuff like that. I mean, as a woman, how do you balance children, marriage with work here?
Now, I didn't have to, for a long time between I didn't think I did a good job, I felt like I did a good job with Mallory, but I felt like I struggled in my marriage and that kind of stuff, which I thought was the reason I shouldn't be with someone. But I do have to say to a lot of people out there, you got to be patient with that kind of stuff because, you know, now that I met Brent and we do this together, you know, he does the breeding part of it and has his job, but he's like opened my eyes to a whole nother world that I was like, you know what, I didn't think there was a world outside of this, you know, and so we've done a lot of traveling together now.
That's
and
awesome.
you know, so you have to be patient and find the right person, and you will, and then it kind of falls into place after that. It's not something you got to work at if you're with the right person, it works together.
I think when you're happy and you're good with yourself and good with your position in life and stuff like that, I mean, things go good for you usually, right?
Oh yeah, there's no question. Since I've been with him, I got my NSBA, my APHA judges card. I'm a professional horseman for both. I've been able to balance going to watch Mallory's meets, and he's the one that keeps me more grounded now. Right. Where he's like, you don't have to do that. Like you don't have to be at the barn until 9:00 at night giving a lesson. It's not. They're not going to take their horse home because you said no to a 9:00 at night lesson. Right. You know, he's that good guy sitting on my shoulder saying you're going to be okay.
Yeah,
you know?
and you know you have to test that because I've been there as well, and you know life in my 40s is probably my best decade yet. You know, as far as balance of everything.
I would agree.
You know, it's just I've been able to take a 2-week trip to Europe, and I traveled across the globe with Monica. And when I get home, you know what? Everything's still okay.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, that's good that you found somebody that can give you a balance of that a little bit, because you don't want to be 60 years old and still...
and never have done anything or seen anything. Yeah, it's been amazing. We're actually new homeowners also. Awesome. So we bought a house in Ocala, and we're neighbors with Tim and Katie Joe Zeidema now.
Nice.
So we're pretty excited about that, but that is a lot of gossip, like, oh, she's moving to Florida. But no, Iowa's home, and we just wanted somewhere to be, like, just to get away. And Brent's mom lives down there, and, you know, we're just broadening our horizons, which has been a big deal for us.
Perfect.
Did he ever get to ride something besides a donkey?
So yes, Hannah did start giving him a couple lessons, and it was a big deal to him. We have a baby, the baby that was by the rock, that was out of that good mare that we had. He bred her, and he's 6'2", maybe 3. He'd tell you 4, but
I've never seen him, so I don't know.
Yeah, he's super tall, and she's only like, if she's 15 hands, she's pushing it. But he wanted to ride her. So we saddled it all up and we let him ride her, and she packed him all around and was absolutely wonderful. So, and that was, you know, one of his babies. You know, if I could touch base on this super fast, you know, that baby is in the PQS. He put her in the NSBA sale. He put her in the Tom Power sale. He put her in the Congress sale, and she's a Super Sires. She's won $20,000, and she still has to do the sale class for the Congress and the PQS $20,000. Awesome. Like, those programs are incredible. Claire's done a good job. Like, everybody with all those programs has done such a good job, and he's a huge believer, and it has really paid off for us.
Yep. Awesome.
Great. Bring us home, Bradford.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Shannon, thank you so much.
It was awesome.
I know you fly out tomorrow to go judge a horse show.
I do. We're headed to Waco, Texas tomorrow.
Waco.
There you go.
Hey, there's no no, it's not the 10th
no mask.
yet.
It's 10th, yeah.
10th, yeah.
We're close to no mask, though, man.
We're so close.
Close. But thank you so much for giving us time on a Wednesday night. It's been a very full day here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Kona, thanks for putting it all together. Kona. And everybody have a great Wednesday night. Thanks for joining the Keeping It Real show. We'll keep you posted about tomorrow night. Have a good night.